everyone. My name is Allison Stroshine, the storyteller behind Shanti Pox. This is part 2 of my 2-part interview with Pauline Kaplan, where she's helping me tell the story of yoga and how the ancient practice of yoga can add more peace to our lives. Please enjoy this video. I set the intention a couple years ago to quote-unquote take my yoga practice to the next level, and I immediately set the goals of doing the perfect handstand and making sure my heels touch the floor in a downward facing dog. And I realized in time that was really although those are fine goals, it was really my ego setting those goals. And so I was wondering if you could explain to us what the true yoga meaning is of taking your yoga practice to the next level.
That's a really good question, because I think it's really natural and normal to have those kind of physical goals for ourselves and what's become more of a physical practice. But when I think of inviting students to take their practice to the next level, I think of this process of actually becoming more comfortable with the knowledge that they're learning about themselves. And so to encourage students to actually get to know themselves through their posture work, through their shavasana, their resting, their relaxation, to walk with the unity that they're already whole. There's nothing missing, broken, that needs to be happening, that it's a remembering experience every time they get to their mat. I know how to relax. I know how to be. I know how to find a middle way. And I'm here to remember this, not to prove anything, and not to let everyone know in the room that I can do 200% when 100% is just fine. So, and also to take yoga to, ultimately, I came to yoga through meditation, through more of working with my mind. And that ultimately is what we need to do, is to work with our mind, to find a curriculum, to find a path, to work with dissolving the ego, and to remember that we're whole. And so that's this other, taking it to the next level would be to allow that process of unity to come back through their balance practice, through their relaxation practice, through their breath practice. So that's what I think of when I think of inviting my students, or when they want to take it to the next level, that there's actually a unity process, and that they're coming into a deeper experience of how to be a healthy human being, and how to dissolve this mind that keeps us in delusion and confusion and fixation.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully said. I think I am still kind of coming into that realization, and when you embrace that as a yoga student, it's really liberating, and it feels really
liberating.
Good. And actually, all of a sudden, without putting a lot of effort into it, your downward facing dog, the physical aspects seem to just come more naturally without, struggling. So it's
That's
like
right.
a byproduct.
That's right. The body and the mind mirror each other. And so we can see how the mind is by how the body sits, lays down, stands, moves. And we can also see where our mind is at and what we do when our body hits its limitations. And what most people do when they hit their limitations, they push, they drive, they beat themselves up. They won't accept, and they won't enjoy, wow, okay, this is where I'm at. For right now, this is where I'm at. It's okay. Knowing that everything is always changing and everything will eventually end. So, and then we see the mind, how the mind opens. And then when the mind opens, the body actually seems to miraculously, magically lengthen.
Yeah.
And, then we can actually build strength and, respond to our flexibility. Because the brain, when the mind changes, the brain opens. And when the brain relaxes, then we can actually move the body in a different way. Because the brain, and we're all one.
Yeah.
So if the brain is all tight and in the head, the body is definitely going to hold attention.
That's right.
And if we can relax the tension, either direction, either relaxing the brain, then the body relaxes, or relaxing the body and then the brain relaxes.
Okay, that's a perfect segue to my next question. I know that several of Shanti Pax's subscribers are yogis. I think that I have a lot of beginner yogis. So could you give us some, in terms of relaxation, relaxing the body, what are your kind of go-to poses that you recommend to folks?
Well, the first thing that I always try to support people to do is to get in touch with their breath, because the breath is your best friend. If you can make the breath your best friend, then it's always with you. You're never without it. You never have to go looking around for it. It's always there. So allowing the breath to, 3 big breaths, inhaling and exhaling. And I like to really use the mouth to... That's it. And you can do that anywhere, anytime. And that's a form of yoga. And then the basic, when you're standing in line, waiting, to actually come up onto your tiptoes, to come back down, to rock back on your heels, to come back down, to actually shift to look behind you, right, when you're waiting. Looking, turning the torso to get a little twist in the spine. And we're always trying to keep our vision forward, because it's really easy to have the neck, go down or back or torque around. And we really need to be careful with this neck. The neck is so important. It holds this head up for the first thing, and then the spinal column. That people have back injuries, or our shoulders are often really tight, and so then that's the next pose, where we actually just bring our shoulders up and move them down, move them up to the ears and down, and then we have an opening of the heart, where you can actually just allow the heart to open, turning the elbows in as you have your hands down, just rotating them in with the hands out. It's just your first standing pose. You're standing in Tadasana, which is a mountain pose, actually, where we're standing in our space. And then to actually forward fold over, to allow yourself to tuck your chin and to roll the torso down over the hips. That forward fold gets, first of all, the lengthening of the spine. The brain gets washed in a different way, because we're always upright. When it tips over, there's a natural release of other chemicals, which tends to feel good. And then you can bend your knees and lengthen your knees, have your hands on your thighs. And so it's, allowing that spine to fold down over the thighs, but in a way that works for you. It's not about touching your toes. Just allowing that spine to fold over. And so it's all about really the torso meeting the thighs. And then you have a different kind of stretch for the back by bending your knees, and for the backs of the legs. So you get, like 2 birds with one pose there. Back of the leg stretch and a lower back stretch. With so much sitting, we really need to do something with our lower back. And then the other one that I really like is my cat and cow pose. So this is where you're on all fours, and then first of all, you're the cat. You pull that chin in and you arch the shoulders up, and then come through, lift that head up into the cow pose. So you have a little bit of sway in the back, opening up the buttocks, relaxing the buttocks. And having the sight look up with the eyes open, that helps to release the frontal lobes, which gives the brain another washing, because we think so much, we're tight up here all the time. But when you're looking up, I'm just going to demonstrate. When you're looking up and you have your eyes upward towards the middle of your forehead, it's a different feeling. And that relaxes the brain. I also like coming down to the floor and laying flat on the floor, lengthening the spine, and then pulling the knees up. I like to bring one knee up while I have one leg long. And so you bring that bent knee up towards the armpit and have that long leg lengthened out in front with a flexed foot. So again, you're lengthening out the spine, lengthening out the back of the leg, and then pulling, bringing some flexibility into the hips. We're always working with the hips because of how much we sit and how our hips tend to be held together. We don't live in a culture where they're squatting a lot and sitting a lot on the ground with their legs open, like in India or Africa. And so here we're more rigid. And so anytime bringing some flexibility into the hips by bending that knee, you never want to grab onto the knee itself. You're always reaching for the shin, the upper part of the shin, or that thigh. Because the knees are precious. The knees, the neck, any joint is precious. You got to be very careful with the joints. And then the ultimate is the Shavasana, where we're actually lying down on the floor. We have our ankles open, our feet open, our hands open, and we're resting. Shoulders are, the arms are moved back, the chest is open. But we're just resting. We're not doing anything. And this is the corpse pose. We have to allow the death of everything, because life is about death. We come in and, eventually we go. And we have a morning and a night. We have a sunrise and a sunset. And this is how the human operates. And so allowing those few moments of just resting and allowing the mind to be quiet, to not take in stimulation, to just rest. So I could go on.
No, that's great. No, that's great. Thank you so much. It makes me want to get to my yoga mat right now.
Good. I hope that does inspire everyone to just be able to, get down on the floor or stand up and bend over and start.
Yeah.
To get going. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Well, thank you so much. I always learn so much when I'm in your presence. It's unbelievable. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. For those of you who live in or around Minneapolis or can get there, I very much encourage you to check out Pauline's website at paulinekaplan.com, where she has lists of upcoming events, retreats, and all sorts of fabulous things. And I will post a link to her website below this video. And I would love to hear how yoga helps you in your daily life, so post a comment below. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Shanti Pox, where you will receive inspirational stories of peace. So thanks again, Pauline, and I hope to see you again very, very soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.